right, so get ready to dive into some seriously deep stuff today. That's Capital.
Yeah.
I know, not exactly like beach reading material, right?
Yeah.
But trust me, on this deep dive, it's not about, picking sides, capitalism versus communism, that whole debate.
Yeah.
We're here to kind of uncover the conversation that Das Kapital was like jumping into. It's kind of like we're crashing this high-stakes poker game.
Okay.
And the fate of like the world economy is on the line.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. And just like in poker, to really understand what's going on, you got to know the players.
Yeah.
You got to know the strategies.
For sure.
And that's what makes our source material so interesting this time around. It reads like a detective novel.
Seriously.
It really does.
Engels, Marx's, partner in crime, he basically calls out other economists.
Yeah.
For, borrowing ideas. Especially this one dude, Rodbertus.
Right.
He even claims some folks were like praising Rodbertus for stuff that Marx had already like figured out years before.
Wow.
You could almost hear Engels being like, hold up, my man Marx was dropping truth bombs way before this guy was even thinking about economics.
Right. It's more than just a priority claim, though.
Okay.
It's about how Marx changed the entire game.
Okay.
So imagine, like, chemists, before they understood oxygen, they knew about this thing called dephlogisticated air. They knew it acted differently, but they didn't know why.
Okay.
Then Lavoisier comes along, isolates oxygen, and boom, everything clicks into place.
Gotcha.
Marx is doing that with economics, right?
Okay, so what's his oxygen? What's his big discovery?
Yeah, his oxygen, if you will, is this idea of surplus value. Other thinkers, they had pieces of the puzzle, but Marx saw the whole picture.
Okay, so you're saying that even if someone thinks they've never like encountered, a Marxian idea in their life,
right,
they've probably bumped into some of his like building blocks.
Yeah.
Like he's riffing on Adam Smith, the invisible hand and all that.
Precisely. Smith, Ricardo, these are the rock stars of economic thought, even to people who, barely scraped by at Econ 101.
Right, for sure.
Marx is directly grappling with their ideas, building upon them, but also fundamentally disagreeing.
So this is less of a polite disagreement and more of like a full-blown like economic brawl.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so who else is in the ring with Marx and Rodbertus?
Well, it was a packed house. To really understand Das Kapital, we need to kind of unearth these forgotten voices. These are thinkers that might not be household names today,
right,
but they were shaping the very fabric of society with their ideas back then. Think of it like we're discovering this hidden archive of letters and pamphlets.
Oh.
Each one is a clue to the economic debates that were raging at the time.
Okay, so picture this. We stumble into like a smoky 19th century cafe, right? And these economists are like throwing down their napkins, about to go another round.
Yep.
What's the main point of contention here? What's got them all riled up?
The heart of the debate, the source of profit. Okay. Is it the labor, like the work, the sweat that's poured into a product that makes it valuable?
Okay.
Or is it just the act of exchanging it in the market? Imagine the arguments. Yeah. It's the sweat of the worker that gives it worth versus nonsense. It's all about supply and demand.
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So it's like, is a handmade wooden chair valuable because of all the hours of craftsmanship,
Yep.
Or is it just because someone at an antique shop is willing to pay top dollar for it?
Right.
I can see how this gets heated. Yeah.
Exactly. And this seemingly simple question has huge EE implications, right?
Yeah.
It's about how we understand the entire economic system, how it works, how it's supposed to work.
Okay, so where does Marx land in all of this?
Yeah.
Is he team labor, team market forces? Where is he at?
So Marx, he kind of throws everyone a curveball here, right? He's saying labor, IS, the source of value, BUT.
Okay.
And it's but the capitalist system, it's designed to mask that fact. He's saying, don't be fooled by the smoke and mirrors of the market.
Ooh, intrigue. Give me an example, I'm a show me, don't tell me kind of guy.
Okay, well, get this. Strap in. Because Marx gets his point across with some seriously unexpected examples.
Okay.
For instance, he brings up the Incas.
Wait, the Incas?
Yeah.
Like ancient South American Incas?
Yes.
What do they have to do with 19th century European economics?
So that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
The Incas, they had this incredibly intricate transport system, super complex. But they didn't have a market economy, not as we know it. No bustling marketplaces, no stock exchanges, none of that.
Okay, my mind is officially starting to bend a little bit. So Marx is saying that complex economic systems can exist outside of like what we consider quote unquote normal?
Exactly. He's challenging those assumptions we have. Like, just because our world works this way doesn't mean it's the only way or even a natural way, right?
That's a really powerful point. So if the Incas are like exhibit A for challenging assumptions, what's exhibit B?
Okay.
What other like curveballs does Marx throw at us?
Buckle up, because we're going from ancient civilizations to the thrilling world of the 19th century wool market.
The wool market.
Yeah.
Okay, not as glamorous as the Incas, but hey,
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Lay it on me.
So Marx, he's really getting into the nitty-gritty of wool auctions,
Yeah.
right? And he points out this whole supply and demand dance. It directly affects the time it takes to produce wool.
Hold on, the time. I used to supply and demand like messing with prices, not the actual production speed, you know? How's that work?
See, that's the key. Marx is saying time is money, literally.
Okay.
It's not just about how much you sell, it's about how quickly you can turn that sale into more wool, more sales, more profit. It's like the capitalist version of a speed run.
Whoa. Okay. I'm starting to see how this all connects. Marx is painting this picture of a system that's constantly accelerating,
Yes.
always looking for that fast track to profit.
Exactly. And to drive this home even further, he brings up this like seemingly tiny detail from 1866. The usance period for trade between India and China was shortened.
Usance period.
Yeah.
Okay. You lost me.
It's an old trade term.
Don't forget.
Basically, it's the deadline merchants had to pay their bills.
All right.
By shortening it, everyone had to move faster. Think of it like suddenly switching from snail mail to email. The pace of business, it ramps up.
Okay, I'm getting it. So this seemingly minor tweak is actually like a sign of things to come.
Yes.
Faster transactions, quicker turnarounds, the whole system just getting more and more interconnected.
Exactly. A peek into the future of globalized capitalism. Everyone's in a race against the clock.
Yeah.
And remember how we were talking about Rodbertus earlier?
Yeah.
Calling Marx's ideas an assault on society. Oh yeah, I can practically see him like shaking his fist, yelling, "You can't just disrupt the natural order of things." But honestly, with all this talk about speeding up the system and everything, I kind of see where he's coming from.
It's because Marx is pulling back the curtain on how the system actually works, right?
Yeah.
So no wonder some people weren't happy about it.
Yeah, right. Okay, back to that like million-dollar question though. Is profit made from labor or exchange? What's at the core of the disagreement between, say, Marx and someone like Rodbertus?
Okay, so Rodbertus and a lot of those classical economists, they believed profit came from the exchange itself. Like if someone's willing to pay a high price for something, that means it's valuable.
Right.
Boom, profit.
Makes sense on the surface,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm sensing a but coming. But here's the but. Marx argued that this view, it completely ignores the labor that went into making the thing in the first place.
Okay.
He's asking like, hold on, who made the thing that's being bought and sold? Who
Yeah.
actually created that value? He believed that profit ultimately comes from the unpaid labor of workers.
Unpaid labor. Okay, now we're getting into some spicy territory. How does that work?
Marx argued that workers, they only get paid a fraction of the actual value they create.
Okay.
The rest, pocketed by the capitalist as profit. He called this surplus value, and it's like the beating heart of Das Kapital.
So we've come full circle.
Right.
Surplus value. The capitalist's secret sauce. Workers are making the pie bigger, but they're not getting their fair share of the slices.
Yeah.
No wonder this ruffled some feathers.
Right. It all comes down to who's benefiting from the system. Rodbertus and his crew, they saw profit as this natural outcome of the market doing its thing. But Marx, he saw it as this fundamental flaw, like exploitation was built into the very foundation of capitalism.
Wow, talk about seeing the world through different lenses. So we've got team market, team labor. Were there any other teams in this, like, economic showdown we should know about?
Oh, absolutely. Don't forget the physiocrats.
The physiocrats.
Yeah, they were all about agriculture. They believed that land, not labor, was like the real source of wealth. Imagine them like strutting around saying, forget your factories and your fancy machines. It's all about the soil.
The OGs of farm to table.
Right.
So, like, in their view, a bustling city was just a side hustle for the countryside.
pretty much. They saw industry and trade as just like rearranging what came from the land, not creating any real value.
Okay. So where does Marx fall on this whole back to the land debate? Was he team plow or team steam engine?
Well, Marx, he saw the importance of agriculture, for sure. But he thought it was a bit narrow-minded to say it was the only source of value.
Yeah.
He argued that all productive labor creates value, whether it's on a farm, in a factory, or even like, coding a website today. It's about the work itself, not just the what or the where.
So even back then, there was already this debate about the changing nature of work.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sensing that for Marx, it always kind of came back to who had the power, right?
Yes.
Whether it was a landowner or a factory owner calling the shots.
Exactly. He was less interested in like the what of production and more about the who,
Yeah.
the power dynamics between the people who owned the means of production and those who, well, only had their labor to offer.
Right. Okay, that's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
But before my brain goes full pretzel, trying to understand all these economic theories, you mentioned Marx had another example, a simpler one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He quotes this economist, de Tracy,
Okay.
who had, well, a rather interesting explanation for how capitalists get rich.
Interesting. Good. Or interesting like, weirded everyone out at the economics conference. Good. Don't leave me hanging.
Okay. So Tracy, he basically said that capitalists get rich by selling things to each other at inflated prices.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
That's the big secret. It's like a game of economic hot potato, but with really expensive potatoes.
Right. You almost have to laugh, but Marx uses this to show what Das Kapital is really all about.
Yeah.
It's about pulling back the curtain.
Yeah.
He's saying, look, the system, it's not some mystical force, there are real mechanisms at play here.
Yeah. It's like he's performing an economic magic trick, but instead of making the rabbit disappear, he's showing you how the whole illusion works.
Exactly. Marx, he wants us to understand the how and the why, not just be wowed by the end result.
Okay. So we've covered a ton today, from like ancient Incan roads to 19th century wool auctions.
Yeah.
Marx was connecting some seriously unexpected dots. But I gotta ask, if he was right and our understanding of value is so shaped by like the economic system we live in,
Yeah.
what does that say about how we value things today?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about a world of like instant transactions and digital products and, global supply chains that span the entire planet.
Right.
It's a far cry from Marx's time, that's for sure. But those fundamental questions he raised about labor, about power, about who benefits from the system, those are more relevant than ever.
Yeah. It's like Das Kapital is a lens. It might have been, crafted back in the 19th century.
Yeah.
But we can still hold it up to our 21st century world and see things in a whole new light.
Exactly. It's a reminder that economics, it isn't just about like numbers and graphs,
Yeah.
It's about people, it's
Right.
about power, and it's about the choices we make about how we want our world to work.
So to everyone listening, we've only just scratched the surface of Das Kapital and the whole world of ideas it kind of sprung from. But hopefully you've gained a new appreciation for this complex, challenging, and honestly, surprisingly relevant work. And maybe, just maybe, it sparked some questions of your own. Because, as we've learned today, sometimes those most fascinating discoveries, well, they're hidden in the most unexpected places.